What moment made you realize that you are not a kid anymore? At work one day when I was 19, I heard a little girl ask her mom, "What's that man doing?" And I turned to look at what man she was talking about and what the man was doing, only to discover she was pointing at me. WTF were you doing? Jerking off into a cereal box. When I was 19, I made a reference to one of my favorite shows from when I was 8-12. And a couple of 13-year-olds listening had no idea what I was talking about. I'm learning that those moments never stop happening. I heard a couple teens reference SpongeBob and I had to ask, wait, that's still on the air? To which they informed me it was celebrating its 20th anniversary. I remember watching the premiere episode. I had the first season on DVD and I remember watching it on repeat. I still occasionally watch it, but the episodes have gotten acting weird. When I realized I could never be fully relaxed because there's always some responsibility looming over me. Thank you for sharing this. It's such simple advice but so hard to execute when you're just used to putting yourself last. The way I like to think about it is, if I don't take the time to recharge, then I'm not my most productive, efficient self. So anything I do in that state probably adds up to around the same lot of productivity as just taking a meaningful break. I was really excited to buy a mop. From that moment on it all went downhill. I'm almost 40 now. Bought a new vacuum late last year. I'm still semi-excited about using it every time I do. It just works so much better than my old one. I got a new vacuum and was really excited, so I told my roommate's mom who was visiting. Her response? "You need to get a hobby." Realizing that nobody knows what the hell they are doing. Everyone is just winging it. Asked a mate, one of the most well put together guys I know, if he had any adulting tips. Just came back with, "If you ever find out, please tell me." Tips for adulting from an actual adult. I'm 51. Go listen to the Sun Cream song by Baz Luhrmann. Everything you need to know about being an adult. I used to print out the lyrics and give them to my kids' friends when they turned 16. I actually really appreciate you saying to listen to this song. There's a bunch of good advice in there. Thank you. The link, if anyone's interested but too lazy to look it up. YouTube link. When my mother died, I was 17 and the overwhelming sense of you're on your own. No one is going to protect you or do things for you anymore felt like the sharpest transition to adulthood imaginable. I was 18. Freshman year of university, living on campus. I totally agree. It felt like I was forced to grow up so much faster than my peers, even though we were all legally adults. I'm sorry you went through that so young. I was driving my sister around and I pointed out to her a building that used to be a blockbuster where my dad would take us to when I was a kid. Then I was crying inside at the fact that I said when I was a kid. I've been saying when I was a kid since I was like 15 lol. In high school a friend of mine worked at a laser tag place. He got a bunch of us in for free one day. In the waiting room we had a friendly trash talking match with some 12-year-olds about the upcoming game. One of them came back with "You're on. Kids versus adults." Note, we were all 18 at the time. I work as a retail worker, 18 tomorrow, and a lot of kids at my town recognize me as the man from the store. It really feels weird not knowing all of them, considering I knew everyone in town when I was their age. Happy almost birthday. I used to be able to take days off work whenever I wanted and now I find myself having to have the "if you take that many days off you won't be able to pay your mortgage so suck it up and go to work" speech with myself at least once a week. LOL. Edit. For clarification, I work as a nurse and we have our set schedules and between 3-6 weeks of vacation a year depending on where you work, your position, and seniority, etc. But I used to have multiple part-time jobs instead of a full-time. I took off many days for travel, etc. But now I am 21 and have a mortgage to think about, so I'm working full-time and can't take nearly as much vacation time off as I used to and it sucks. Now, when I lost my job, this was pre-corona, I realized that I treated my career like it was school, as if I would keep moving up automatically. It was a juvenile way to approach success, and I realized that if I wanted more from my life and career I couldn't just expect it to happen. I needed to hear this. Thank you. Oh my lord. I had this mindset until I read this comment. Thank you. I definitely needed this. Graduating high school. Losing my first grandparent. Graduating college. Getting my first job out of school. Here's the keys. Here's the tag. Here's the registration. Here's your license back. Marrying my wife. Having our daughters. Okay fizzy. This mortgage will be 360 months with this much owed on the first of every month. Will escrow your taxes and insurance. Losing my dad. Okay fizzy. These are the 12 engineers reporting to you. Review their profiles. We'll pay you $, and this is our bonus compensation structure. Your office is down the hall from mine. Something before takeoff. Sir. Doc. Okay fizzy. You're not 20 anymore. Get some cardio 3-4x a week. Ditch the whole eggs, and that blood pressure and cholesterol should work themselves out. They did. But it sucks to get old. No, little one. You cannot have 5 Oreo cookies before your dinner. I feel like I watched you grow up. They grow up so fast. My first year of teaching. When we told the kids to get an adult if there's an emergency, and I realized I was the adult they would be getting. I feel you there. Sometimes it just hits me that I'm the adult in the room and I'm responsible for everything. It's such a weird feeling. Sort of like a oh shit, I'm the one in charge. Who the hell was stupid enough for that feeling? At least that's what I get whenever I have to look after my siblings. Having the we have food at home talk with myself. I once read that adulting is getting pissed at yourself for not defrosting the meat. Yes, I wanted to make wontons today, but my stupid butt put the ground meat in the freezer yesterday instead of the fridge, so now I have to wait till tomorrow. When I wanted to be put over the knees and spanked. True story. My first grade teacher gave all the boys birthday spankings in front of the whole class. 1983. Different times. It was the first spanking I actually enjoyed. What? When I saw a forecast for snow and I was annoyed instead of happy. This is a great one. Kids see potential snow day and imagine all the fun a snowy day brings. Adults see shoveling it out of the driveway just so you can sit through a shitty drive to work. Smarter adults learn to live where there is no snow. When they said, some people will meet the person they are going to marry here at my university welcome speech, that shit hooked me up real good. At my university we joke that some women were there for their Mrs. degree. Edit. Fat fingers. Oh, that's especially bad at Christian colleges. When I called someone kid. At this point I feel like the vast majority of the world is full of kids. Anyone under 30 for sure is a kid. I told my niece she needed adult supervision to do something, and she looked at me like I was dumber than a block of cheese and asked why I couldn't watch her. You're not the sharpest cheddar in the fridge. Huh. This happened to me. I told my nieces we had to wait for an adult to take us to the playground down the road. They replied, Auntie, you're an adult, can't you just take us? Oh yuck. Yeah, I guess I can. Let's go play on some swings. I was 22 at the time, working as a ski instructor who looks after kids a lot, but just never really thought about it too hard because I always get to play games and muck around. I ate a pack of fruit snacks without checking to see what shape they were. Gasp. Someone call 911. I was 23, no high school diploma, and a security guard doing access control at an ice cream plant. I realized that if I didn't get out of there and do something, I would be 50 in the flash, and not seen or done anything worthwhile. My life would have peaked at 20 and the rest of my time amounting to little more than waiting to die. Or mate, don't leave us hanging. Did you get out? Yes. Thank you for asking. I spent the next 9 months trying to get in the Navy. I had to wait for the start of the fiscal year, as only 5% of recruitment can be non-high school grads. But I got in. I became an aviation electronics technician. A couple years later I got my GED. Over a 20-year career I did 3 overseas tours, served on 2 carriers, visited a score of countries, numerous detachments and deployments, and more. Now, almost 2 years since retirement, I do troubleshooting and repairs on airport surveillance radar. It's been a much more interesting trip, with more Still to come. When I found out I had to choose between dropping out of college and homeless, or going back to live with my abusive family, it really hit me hard that I didn't know what to do, but knew I had to do something. At the time, those weren't the only realistic options, but I was a kid and didn't know that. It took a lot of learning and making mistakes over and over for me to really understand that adulthood meant making it up as I went. I did end up dropping out of college initially to work full time and get an apartment, and now, 8 years later, I am in a way better place than the scared kid I was before. I see you. And I'm sorry you went through that. Fuck all those people who bred without being fully prepared to love. Thank you. Needed this. When my actions started to change a lot people's life. If I don't do shopping today, I cannot cook for my wife and she would not have any food to take in the other day, and in the next day I will be working so no one will buy food. As an example. It's one thing if I only eat once a day, but the kids need 3 square meals and snacks. So mama does not get a depression day. Realized this when a Facebook friend of mine asked what depression meals people eat, and I realized even if I don't eat, I have to have the energy to fix food for 3 kids. Parents pulling themselves together for kids really warms my heart. Makes me feel for my own parents. As a kid you believe your parents are these invincible people, but in reality they have very real struggles and insecurities just like the rest of us. And some doctors or teachers are younger than me. The last time I was at the ER I slowly realized that all the medical personnel treating me were younger than me. This past Monday actually, my neighbor has 3 dogs she constantly lets outside without leashes. We share a driveway that connects our 2 small backyards. I have an older dog. I went to take my girl out before work and she let her dogs out without looking. Her pit bull attacked my dog and for 20 minutes we couldn't get it off her. At the end of it, my dog was seriously mauled. I was bit on the hand and arm pretty badly, and suddenly, I had to be THR adult. I had to know what to do. I had to delegate my so to take my dog to the vet, while I stayed behind to talk to the cops and get myself to the hospital. 26 years old, and let me just say, I hate being the adult. I don't think I've ever missed my dad's immediate ability to handle a situation as much as I did on Monday. Did your dog survive? How is your arm now? Yes, she did. She's a trooper. Lots of staples and sutures and a drainage tube in her throat, but she's healing. Her head and neck were badly torn up, but she's always been a strong dog. My arm is on the mend too. Following up with the doc on Monday to address potential nerve damage. Numb on a large portion of my wrist, arm, and my finger that got impaled by a tooth is numb completely above the wound. Wounds are closing well though and no infections. Genuinely appreciate the concern. I realized I was not a child anymore when the way men looked at me changed. I can't explain, but I just knew it was different. Sometimes even men with children would look at me differently, which was really weird. It caused a somewhat identity crisis, because when I was 11 to 14, I thought I would be that age forever, and was really comfortable with the idea, and with my social role. All of a sudden, I was 15 and the way I was perceived changed, and I couldn't cope with the idea. I enjoyed being a child,